Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Ye hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I'm your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me as always is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz. Tonight's episode, Season 1, Episode, I want to say Episode 6, What If Killmonger Rescued Tony Stark? Killmonger rescues Tony Stark when his Humvee is attacked in Afghanistan and manipulates his influence for his designs of conquering Wakanda. Our director this evening is Brian Andrews, with Matthew Chauncey as our writer. Stars, of course, Jeffrey Wright, Michael B. Jordan, Jon Favreau. It's just more of Matthew Chauncey. It's not giving me like the full... And go to this button, see if that gives it to us. Yes, Brian Andrews. Oh, yeah, Matthew Chauncey's getting the only credits here. Not even going to tell us who created Killmonger.
Wow.
Like Heyman, they are blotting out his name. All right, so this is an episode, my friend. Where basically it makes you wonder, who sent Killmonger into this moment? Did Killmonger find out about this and alter his plans? Was he sent there because someone in the various manipulative cabals that secretly run the MCU decided that he would be a good fit for it? You know?
It seems to me that either he was hired by Obadiah, or amongst his escapades as a military spy or whatever he was, he found out about the plan and said, hey, that guy's got some interesting technology. He's got some power. I'd like to get in close with him. And this guy seems to be wanting to attack him. Perfect time to me to pounce on this opportunity and save him, and then see if I can get in his good graces.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things there. You know, because as it is stated that Killmonger gets the name Killmonger while he's in Afghanistan, while he's doing the government's bidding as a murderer for hire, as it were. Rough way to describe our noble military men, but, you know, not everybody gets to be Captain America. And for what it's worth, you know, I mean, Killmonger's getting the job done. Yeah. But in this case, Killmonger has his own agenda. He is loyal until it is no longer in his best interest. And I got into a very interesting conversation recently about Killmonger and what his central motivations are. And whether or not there is this idea that Marvel shoehorns in acts of violence by their supervillains that it doesn't fit the character when they shoehorn it in. And in the case that they do with Killmonger, you have his murder of his female accomplice when Claw has her and is holding her hostage. And you have a few other moments where they feel that, you know, they make Killmonger, you know, more sociopathic than he maybe necessarily needs to be, except, of course, his name is Killmonger. So I'm not quite sure what you were expecting him to do. You know, he is a man who has a mission and he completes his mission.
Right.
And that is usually murdering people.
Right. And you think that's like your sense of morality is going to stop him from completing his task, from completing his goal? No, I don't think so. And I think moments like that build up how tough he is, because those moments are ugly. And it's not that he doesn't know that they're ugly or that he enjoys them, but he knows that he needs to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows his resolve and his aptitude.
Yeah. And there's an interesting aspect to this, especially within the concept of what, violent black liberation, which is what he embraces, which is, that I
don't know. I think that's the guise he uses to attain power.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the idea. That's the guise he uses to attain power. And it is an interesting question about whether or not he actually believes in it. My take is that he doesn't really believe in that.
I agree.
Especially in the sense that he has just spent several years murdering brown people. Granted, not black people, but he doesn't know.
Well, no, he says as much. He goes, "I've murdered my own brothers on this continent."
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like, he has done what he needs to do to get where he wants to be for the greater good.
I think the thing is, people want to like Killmonger, right? They want to have him be redeemable. And the problem some people run into is that they're not comfortable with a character's duality. They're not comfortable that at moments he can be good and he can be something you can be proud of, and at moments he can be dark and ugly and maybe something that you should not be proud of, and that the same can exist in the same person. So in order for them to be okay with feeling good about him, they have to sort of erase all the bad things so that they can feel good about it. So I think that it's a bit of a reach, and that's probably where it's coming from.
I mean, I agree. I think that a lot of it is this wish fulfillment. I also think that from a narrative perspective, there is this problem that they have with villains. Whereas, and I doubt this phrase will catch on, but I'm going to call it the Hitler conundrum.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, because it is the Hitler conundrum. You and I all know who Hitler is. So whenever he shows up in a story, we immediately know him as Hitler. But if you watch a film like Max, if you've ever seen that film, which is about an art dealer who finds this crazy mixed-up kid named Schickelgruber, and he's trying to help him sort of work through his artistic vision because he actually thinks this kid might have some potential. And we know who he is. We know where this story is going. But as the story is progressing, it's got these qualities not dissimilar from a guy like Killmonger, where it's like, man, we're being hurt by these people, after World War I, they took all of our lands and they're punishing us, making, even though we were the ones that were attacked by terrorists, when Archduke Ferdinand was murdered. That's the triggering event. It was a terrorist attack, and they responded to it, and then all the other nations of the world sort of came back at them for responding to this terrorist attack. And so you can see how you can tell that first story of a guy like Hitler if you don't know who this Hitler guy is. And you can tell it about this guy trying to free his people. But we all know who he is, and so you don't have to have him, just callously murder a guy to show he's a murderer. But the fact of the matter is that that's what he's going to do. And the same with Thanos. He's going to murder half of a population. Now, fortunately with him, he's very upfront with what he's doing. He's murdering half of the population, and you just have to say, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with genocide for environmental reasons. And no, you shouldn't be. You should not be okay with genocide for environmental reasons. If you are, then you're part of the problem. But
hey, maybe you're not green enough.
Yeah, exactly. That is the problem. But that is the problem with Killmonger, where, what he wants, which is arguably an end to oppression, is a fair concept. And even part of us is like, yeah, payback. I like the idea of payback. But then you run into that very real problem that most of the people that you're going to be harming aren't really part of the problem. They're alive in the world and they benefit from the world as it is. But, how much they're actively moving that oppression forward is up for debate. And that's where you get to that moral gray area. And that's where you get into basically what war is, which is killing lots of civilians until the people in power surrender.
Right.
Because that is war. And
I don't think it's about ending oppression with him, because if he genuinely had good intentions for Wakanda, he would have come there and not been afraid to speak his mind. But as it stands, he showed up there under false pretenses, had his whole elaborate ruse to get to the seat of power, because he knows what he really wants wouldn't have been legitimately good enough to get there. So that tells you right there that I don't think the ending of oppression is his goal. Usurping power and being powerful is his goal. And maybe revenge against Wakanda rather than help to the rest of the world. Maybe revenge against Wakanda is really what his motivation is.
I definitely think revenge against Wakanda is his primary motivation in both the film and the movie. One thing I think that is an interesting change in this is that I think that in this one, he doesn't earn his place as the Black Panther, which T'Challa calls him out for. In Black Panther, he really did legitimately earn it. He really did legitimately. He followed the rules. He showed up and says, I am making my challenge. I am the lost prince. I deserve to be heard.
And he wins.
Well,
fair
he doesn't
and
win.
Square.
Well, yes and no. He never killed T'Challa, and T'Challa never yielded. So technically, the battle was still in place. Now, technically, they both should have.
That argument is the sanctuary of the coward. If you're okay, that's unbecoming of a Black Panther. That's unbecoming of a king.
No, he commits the classic supervillain failure. He doesn't check for the body. He could have gone down and said, okay, we need to find the body to make sure that this is all on the up and up and make sure that my reign is legitimate.
To me, either it's lazy storytelling or like a flawed character. Probably both.
Well, it really is just the fact that, it is the idea that in any kind of heroic story, if you don't check for the bodies,
the thing is, we're not debating the character of Killmonger or not. We're debating whether or not T'Challa was a coward.
No, he wasn't a coward. In no way is he a coward. He fought.
To stand on that argument to say you didn't beat me, I'm like, how dare you come back after you lost in front of your whole tribe?
Okay.
To come back and say I still deserve to be king. You're not the king. No. That just at least stand on something better than that.
What he's saying is the challenge is not over. You did not kill me, and I did not yield. No. But that's the thing. Hey, look, the rules are the rules.
All right, yeah.
And
again,
to give you an example from comics, it is this idea that when the champion fights the Thing, when it has the big battle, who is the strongest in the universe, and he's one of the elders of the universe, he is really the elder of the universe I most want to see in the MCU, and he's just beating up everybody, and he goes against the Thing, and he's just beating the Thing down, but the Thing keeps on getting up. And the Thing keeps on getting up. And he says, you know what? I can beat you to a pulp. I can kill you, but I will never break your spirit. I will never win against you. And because of that, I yield to you, sir. You are the champion. And in this case, is it a technicality? Maybe it is. And, the fact of the matter is that at that moment, the challenge never ended. There was no moment when the challenge ended.
I'm just saying he lost my vote when he opted to fight behind that argument.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, he just wanted to take the super out.
No, then say that. Then say that. Don't say.
Well, what he really wanted was he wanted to make peace with this guy because this is his cousin, and their father's beefs don't concern them. Both of their fathers are long dead at this point.
Sure.
And it's kind of like Thor and Loki. It's like Thor doesn't care that Odin was a jerk to Loki. He just wants Loki to be his brother. Because, Thor will defend Loki against Odin if he has to. Because Loki is Thor's brother.
Right. And that's who he grew up with. That's who he grew up, grew up in front of.
And for what it's worth, that is what T'Challa wants from Killmonger. He wants, you could be my brother. You could be a part of this. We can both be Black Panthers. We can both do whatever, but let's talk about how we bring Wakanda forward. It's sort of how he turns Thanos. It's like the best weapon is a cogent argument, but you can't use a cogent argument if someone just refuses to listen, if someone is so full of anger and hatred that they're not going to listen to that rational argument. And the fact of the matter is, I think that T'Challa would have listened to Killmonger. Ironically, if Killmonger in the Black Panther series movie had been like Killmonger is here, where he had simply spoken to his cousin, he might have gotten his cousin to say, you are right, we need to reach out more to the world, and how can we help people? Now, of course, T'Challa is going to want to do it the way he has, which is through outreach and building community centers and letting the world know we have the most advanced technology in the world, and you better watch out. But within that structure, you have this idea that obviously Wakanda was always involved in the outside world because they had I forget what they call them, the wild dogs or whatever they called them. They're the people that they send out to basically be the spies throughout the world. And what effectively T'Chaka's brother was doing, and so it is an interesting story. It's an interesting way to look at it. In this one, however, Killmonger is basically just pulling a syndrome where he is building the robots that he's going to defeat, which really opens up this reality that, they never faced the Jarvis version of these robots, meaning that they let them down, they brought them in, and then they put up the thing. But if they had actually faced the Jarvis version, maybe they wouldn't be quite so easy to defeat. I mean, granted, Killmonger did defeat one version of it, but of course Jarvis learns.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he only set their difficulty to, whatever was convenient.
Yeah, but when Killmonger fights the Jarvis, that's obviously going to be at the first one, and he defeats it, and then he kills Tony.
No. I thought you meant when all the robots at the end, when he fights them.
Yeah. When he fights them there. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're not under Jarvis's control anymore. They're under his control.
Exactly.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. That had they fought those drones under Jarvis's control, maybe the story goes a bit differently.
Yeah, but then I'm led to think he never had control. Jarvis never. He made it look like he did. He let him control it, but he was always sitting on the other side with a set of controls as well. It was like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. Well, the AI is operating, so there's probably like an internal AI that's running.
Yeah, he just probably had a fail-safe, a backdoor, something he could always get into. So it's just like, yeah, if you want to do the work, go ahead. I'll let you do the work. When it's time to do something actionable, I'm going to take control and do what I need to do.
Well, exactly. Well, no, this is my point, is that had the armies of Wakanda had to fight Jarvis running the machines, it might have gone very differently, and Killmonger might not have done as well if he didn't have that Syndrome remote, or if, like Syndrome, he had dropped the remote.
Yeah, but it seemed like the pure vibranium was able to cut through it no problem, even when Tony had the one that was made of like an alloy of vibranium with other things.
Well, actually, no. Only for Tony, it was only the arc reactor in it that was running off of the vibranium.
Oh,
that had, so the other one was just Durasteel or whatever.
Gotcha.
It wasn't even adamantium. They don't have adamantium in this universe yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna get it now. They own the rights to adamantium again. So, We're going to be getting ourselves some adamantium pretty soon.
Do you think it'd be better to have a new person play Wolverine at this point?
Oh, well, yeah,
I think so too. I wasn't on that train for a long time, but this time it's just like been so long. Just let a great thing be a great thing and leave it alone.
And it's kind of like, it's like Batista saying he's not going to do a lot more Draxes because, it's like it is hard to do this. It's the same reason why Chris Evans doesn't really want to do a lot more Captain Americas because that's not that he doesn't love
Batista
the role.
Way too big for Wolverine, though? Wolverine's short.
Oh, no. I don't think Batista wants to be Wolverine either.
Oh, I was going to say, because that might be kind of insane.
No, it would be very insane. It would be very insane. No. First off, they should get a shorter guy for it, but that's a personal thing. But you need a younger person to do that. Right. You need younger people in these roles. This was something that Matt Pat was talking about hosting Jeopardy. For those who don't know, Matt Pat of Film Theory, Food Theory, and Game Theory, he has put his petition out there too. He says, hey, tell people I should host Jeopardy. And he makes the point that most of the people that were like in the running for Jeopardy were like way old to host Jeopardy. Now, granted, Alex Trebek hosted Jeopardy well into his later years, but he was hosting Jeopardy into his later years after starting when he was very young, as a young man, as a game show host. And then basically the reason he could run it for so long was because he started young. And that whoever should be a younger person. So the next person to be Wolverine should be, much the way Hugh Jackman was back when X-Men first came out, a younger guy who, as he ages, doesn't get old. As he ages, is going to still be a guy that can believably be Wolverine. So that's the thing. So that's why Hugh Jackman, it's hard for him to be Wolverine now. Like I said, Old Man Wolverine was a gift to him. Yeah. And if they want to do Old Man Wolverine, I'm sure he'd be back for it.
Yeah, that I can see.
Like the real old man, like, wastelands, gray hair, the whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
But, it's hard, it's hard to be an aging action star, we can't all be, Sir Patrick Stewart, we can't all be, an action star in Dune and still an action star to this day in Picard, Yeah. That's just the truth of it. So, whoever they get for the next Wolverine, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard when they recast Captain America. It's going to be hard when they recast Tony Stark. It's going to be hard when they recast all these people. But, just like James Bond, eventually you do, Eventually you kind of have to, because you can only do this for so long. My real hope is that next season in What If, they're going to introduce the next Black Panther, because they're going to do a T'Challa story, and they're going to have an actor voicing T'Challa that sounds just enough like Chadwick Boseman to be T'Challa. And then when he comes back in Black Panther 3, or maybe at the end of Black Panther 2, we'll have already heard the voice, and so we'll know who that is.
Oh.
That's my own thing. That's the way you introduce that new character, is by familiarizing people with someone else in the role via the voice, because the face will never match. But then again, it's like Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle,
Yeah.
It's not going to match, but you know what? We can accept it if we've already been given it, If we've already been given the idea that this is the guy who does this, then we can work with it,
I wouldn't be mad if they just made Killmonger the next Black Panther. That would be awesome.
Honestly, I would not even care that he looked like Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan would be a great actor for the role.
Yeah.
Honestly, I half expected Chadwick Boseman to just take over Killmonger's body in that scene. There's actually, you're not the Black Panther. And he just punches him in the spirit realm.
Right. He comes back like Agent Smith.
Exactly. It's like, it is not Killmonger anymore. The story is at an end.
No, that would
have been the twist ending.
Yeah, I would have dug that. That'd blow my mind. I was like, oh, how cool is that? Now he's stuck
You are in
there.
the spirit realm. Have you ever been to the spirit realm before? No. You do not know how it works here. And then does that
Take my hand. It's okay.
just does that reverse knocking someone out of their body thing from Doctor Strange and just like flips him and then go. And then he wakes up and says, "It's okay. I am here now.
Yeah.
I have returned. I am the Black
That
Panther."
man is gone.
Yes. That would have been great.
I would have appreciated that. That would have been really fun.
It would have been a great scene if we'd gotten it. And then it totally makes sense why Michael B. Jordan is Black Panther going forward. Because, to be fair, Michael B. Jordan's a great actor. I'm sure he'd love to play the role of Black Panther. And
I think that would be an easy one for the fans to get on board with, too.
Oh yeah. Because they already love his Killmonger character, so him becoming Black Panther makes sense.
Yeah, give him a redemption arc and, make him a face.
Yeah, well, we don't even have to give him a redemption arc. You just have the actor be recast in the role and have, you'll change his look, he'll stop having the braids and he'll just have the short crop and the beard. And he says, "Now I am T'Challa." Have him talk have him do the accent.
That'd be a little weird.
I'm just saying it can work. Audiences are super forgiving.
Yeah. We had two Aunt Vivs and everybody was fine with both of them.
Exactly. And not, no one cares that Chris Evans used to be Johnny Storm.
Right.
No one really cares at the end of the day. They just want a good movie to watch.
Yeah.
With good actors doing a good story. So, but, this one thing about this episode is it does end on a positive note, which is not something we've had. I mean, not a,
well, is it a positive note? It feels like a positive note, but like the mad genius is at the helm of an army that has the most advanced technology the world has ever known. Well, so, I don't know how happy a note that is, I guess
well, except that we already know that Shuri is working with Pepper.
Fair enough.
And Pepper is the one that never who always saw through Killmonger's stuff. She always knew he was up to something. She didn't know what it was yet, but she knew it was something. And this is a universe where Happy's still alive. There's a lot to be looking forward to here. Yeah. And the fact that Shuri is basically like, no, I know that man killed my brother. And that's the thing is he killed her brother. She is not going to tolerate that. And the fact of the matter is she's smarter than Killmonger. She's smarter than Tony Stark. She's smarter than Killmonger. And they're going to go find Ironheart in the next episode. They say, "Good at MIT. I think we should look her up. She's very good with armors." And that's how they introduce that character, which wouldn't make any sense because this is like 7 years before. So she's still in like 8th grade. So, but still the idea is there, we're going to get something in that next episode where she's going to open things up in a way that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I feel like it's about time they start like finally giving us an interconnection of worlds and time. We haven't had a moment like that yet, where any of these worlds have intersected yet. Yeah,
well, I think we might get it. I think we might get it next week with Thor, with Party Thor, because I think traveling between universes is going to be something that he does. And for what it's worth, that's a universe with a Loki variant. And we all know how the TVA feels about Loki variants.
Yeah.
So, because that's one where Loki is raised a frost giant.
Well, that should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you recall, we saw that variant in the TVA's list of Lokis. So
right. So really, this episode is not going to be a Thor episode. It's going to be a Loki episode, but titled Thor. Because what they really mean is if Thor grew up an only child, that's not as interesting as what else would that? Consequently, that would mean that what if Loki grew up as a frost giant?
Yes. So that could be what that is, and that
if he grew up a frost giant, he wouldn't have been royalty. He would have just been a runt.
Well, he still would have been the son of Laufey, although Laufey was dead. But he would have been the rightful heir to Jotunheim.
Oh, okay.
Because Laufey was the king of the frost giants. We might actually get to meet Laufey's mother, and maybe, or not Laufey's mother, but Loki's mother.
Loki's real mom.
Who actually, interestingly, in actual Norse mythology, Laufey is not Loki's father; it's his mother.
Oh wow!
So that's just a weird thing about Norse mythology. My own personal theory was that Freya was always his mom, and because that's why Odin goes to Jotunheim to free Freya, and then there's this little frost giant, and the
like
idea
Helen of Troy kind of deal.
Well, I think that basically Freya and Laufey had a moment. Whether they're Loki's the result, and that's why Loki comes back. And when Odin rejects Loki, it's also his mother that he's taking away from him. So that's my theory. We're going to see if that plays out next week. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
No, I liked it. I'm always welcome to having more Killmonger. That's one of my favorite characters. So it was great to have him back.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see Iron Man just be like, if he never found his courage, what would he have become if he never found his backbone? He would just... sad ending. But man, they have killed him several times in these series already.
He keeps on dying. And I think that is expressly because he is the start of the MCU, as it were. So having him die makes sense.
So Kang is in the back, probably controlling situations to make sure that Tony Stark dies, because he identified that as the one irreversible thing that he has to stop.
Well, no. I think basically what it is if Tony Stark dies, these universes tend to fall apart.
Or become easily conquerable.
Possibly, yes. That's also another possibility, Or maybe in this universe, Kang's a Stark descendant, Maybe he's Morgan's child, Morgan's great grandchild. There's lots of possibilities there too. But the idea is that within this structure, you have this idea of, what's the word I'm looking for? The idea that, Tony Stark dies, and then there isn't someone available per se to reverse, the snap. There isn't someone to design the glove, go back in time, do all that. Although arguably Fitz and Simmons could take up that role, but then again, they're having their own problems. So,
right. Not only is he the beginning of the MCU and the end of the Avengers, but he's the end of that saga where everything comes back, the closing chapter to that whole story. So,
exactly. It is like the TVA said. What the Avengers did was what they were supposed to do. What you did was not what was supposed to happen. So that's the crux of the biscuit. So, we'll have to see what happens next week. But I do think, because we have seen both Peggy Carter and Party Thor interacting with Strange Supreme. So I think we might get something at least at the end of next episode. Because next episode is number 7. There's only 8 and 9 left. And we know that 9 is supposed to be the Guardians of the Multiverse gathering to save the multiverse from whatever is going to destroy it all. Which is maybe Strange Supreme, maybe something else entirely. We'll have to see. All right, Mozz. If anyone would like to talk to you, how can they do so?
They can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me in an old-fashioned email way the way our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And if you do go down to our show notes, you can find our connections at Linktree. Go to our Patreon. Go to our merch section. Buy stuff. We'd love it. I've forgotten our phone number, but that's also in the show notes. So call us. Leave us a message. I told Phil to email me all the things I'm supposed to say so I can put it on a note card. He hasn't yet, but when he does, I will do that. And then if you'd like to follow me in the newfangled way that all the kids do on the Twitter when I live tweet things, when I feel like it, or when I can get a channel in that has something I want to live tweet, do so at Charlie Esser That's CHARLIEESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality.
Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Tristan. Ladies and gentlemen, you have listened to another evening of us discussing what might have been and what never was. At the end, we can only say, enough said. All right, you filthy landlubbers. You have made it through another episode on the briny seas of the internet and streaming services everywhere. We thank you for the voyage, and we ask you to come again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arrgh.